patient. G2 Astralis pistol round, and Astralis have gone for straight up Kevlars. Couple flashes for G2 and a P250 to boot. I'm going to go straight through on Monster. NBK taking point for his team. He's already picked up one, on the prowl for more, but is going to get completely bodied by dupreeh, who is going to go in for a second frag as well. And now Shox is all that remains. dupreeh has just got an absolute tear. 3 kills go his way. Shox is going to take him down eventually, but the damage is already done. The bomb's on the site, it's dropped. Shox is going to have to pick up 3 kills and get his hands on that bomb. Surely the second he comes around Monster, he's a dead man.
It shouldn't be too much chance in hell really for the French veteran. We'll actually do some tag damage onto Sepnix, but no way he's getting anywhere near that bomb. And actually, CT's getting aggressive here on him. Doing it as a duo as well in Kirby. Duo with Sepnix is going to take him out. So yeah, very solid dupreeh, strong pistol round. And one of the biggest complaints about Astralis, or I guess one of the biggest worries that people had about this team, was the fact that they weren't really winning pistols a whole lot. Obviously, getting Dennis into the team, you would expect that does quite a bit for any team's pistol rounds. And they've been pretty successful with it so far. Started off in the 3 first games, winning 3 out of 4. Obviously getting off to a great start here as well. Not Dennis this time around though. The resident fragger, dupreeh, doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Shox just gonna go down to the aggressor of Kirby, but quick return there as Apex equalizes the score. Not gonna be able to pick up a weapon just yet. Well, as I say that, he does manage to find the rifle. It's a nice little get there, and again, we're seeing, not surprisingly, a force buy coming out from the French side.
Yeah, I mean, we know that these guys love to do this even when they probably shouldn't, so it's pretty standard to pick it up in the second round. They are now going to be able to get their hands on some more frags. Kenny S with his CZ just hiding outside in the water.
After a bit of a aggressive start, really, from the side of...
So Kenny S is going to be hiding just outside. His body as well with the bomb. Going to be tossing it backwards to the rest of his team. Time is pretty scarce right now, 35 seconds. And dupreeh's going to be holding the fort onto the bomb. One frag has already been picked up, but there's a beautiful one-tap by Body into the head of Glaive. Looking for more, does pick it up as well. Dennis onto Kenny, and now Body and Apex all that remain, making just Apex. As Astralis are going to be struggling, and apparently we need to switch games. So I think we've been casting the wrong game.
There we have it.
Or something. So wait, we're actually casting NiP North.
Apparently we are.
Banter. All right, so scrap everything we just said. We're doing NiP and North.
Yep. And on we go, no longer Overpass being the map of choice. It's going to be Train, where we've seen NiP play multiple times so far this tournament with varying degrees of success. So far, though, off to a good start, 2-0 here versus the Danish side. And Train is one of the maps where they found a lot of favors, actually. A lot of things going their way. Beating phase amongst them.
So NiP currently 2-0 up, and they find themselves in a 2-on-2. Cajun B and Config against Exist and Forest Bomb. He's down. Cajun B maybe soon to follow as well. Has a huge task ahead of him. Gonna pick up the first. Bomb about 2/3 of the way through. It's timer at this point. Exist going to be jumping onto it. Doesn't have a kit. Doesn't have much hope. So all Cajun B has to do is lay in wait. Spray on point. Exist down, and North will claim their first round. Let's see if NiP go in for a buy. Indeed, they shall. AWP is picked up alongside some M4s. And Rez, the last to decide what he's going to take for himself. Just the CZ for the time being, so he's going to be coming through with a pistol. Easy with his Molotov, and speaking of the man, he is going to be playing just down on the ramp side. I mean, the CZ at this range is an absolute monster. He's going to be shoulder peeking, throwing in the nade to make sure there's no fast push, but nothing's going to be forthcoming. So he's okay for now. After spawning a couple of players, that's going to draw out the rotation of Get Right.
does find a trade frag here. So 3v3 situation as North will have control over the bomb site, though forward positioning from MSL as well. Oh, not actually going to be able to win out the duel versus Exist. Definitely a situation where he's favored going into it. Actually, Exist is going to find 2 as well, and with no real contest here, North just completely dropped their bearings in a round as well. And that's going to be NiP right back on the board there. North just kind of dropping the ball there. Definitely had a fair shot at winning that round. MSL with a supreme position to really make a lot happen. Does tag Exist down low, but not quite going to do it for you. Exist actually finding 2 frags in that kind of a situation is a bit unheard of. But NiP, I'll take it happily. They've had a couple of rough games in a row here now, even though they started off the tournament in strong fashion. So looking to get back on that horse. And obviously there's still a lot to play for these sides, even though necessarily grand finals might not necessarily be the most realistic thing. You do have these standoff games that you want to be a part of.
For sure, NiP happening in a bit of a downward trajectory. This would be a good way of salvaging it. North hot off the back of a 15-15 against Astralis now. We'll see AZ and Config. The weight of the world on their shoulders, and AZ, it's just too much for him to handle. Config remains 68 HP, will claim the life of Draken. There's still a lot of time left though, but the bomb again is dropped down. A horrible spot for him, and to make matters worse, there's a Molotov right up in his face. He's gonna have to hold fire, hold position for now, and get right. Well,
decides to end it.
Headshot to Config will dispatch of him quietly.
So far, so good for the Swedish side, and we did see that they had a lot of success on this very map versus FaZe, as mentioned. Rez being obviously one of the more intriguing players to watch during their entire Oakland run. And as from talking to the FaZe players, Olaf and Nico, they were just constantly just bewildered as to how Rez could get away with what he was doing. They thought he was getting away with murder. It's going to be interesting to see if North is going to allow him to do the same kind of thing. Again, slower approach, a little bit more utility on the side of North this time around, considering it's a lot more than expected, considering it's only pistols to be found on the Danish side. Let's see what they actually decide to do here. Setting up for an initial inner take. Smokes go in towards the inner bomb site. Here we go.
Oh, that spray. Just get wrecked, AZ. Couldn't see a single thing. Dispatched off before he could get any kind of foothold into this round. Up close and personal is Valda. Down he goes alongside Cajun B. But North pretty much got their mission accomplished. They went in for the bomb plant, they got it. Sure, they all died afterwards, but now at least it will bulk up their next fight.
Yep, it definitely will. And even though they invested a fair amount of money into it, it was one of those fleeting rounds where they possibly could have bought up with AKs and so on, skimped on utility and actually gotten something out of it. Or something you might pass off as a buy, but instead deciding to go long-term route, getting it off in the hands of Cajun B plus utility. So now pretty much the world is their oyster. They have every option in front of them at this point.
Oh, nice shot by Draken, aggressively onto AZ. Not much he could have done about that. He will pick up a second. MSL gets dismantled. A bit curious as to why they'd peak 1 by 1 against the AWPer, but hey, these things happen, I guess. But this is right after North have gone in for a full-on buy, so I mean, that's the worst start they could have asked for, really. Yeah,
but it's extremely nice decision making from NiP. Again, you don't want to really let North get into their comfort zone at any given point. So by going aggressive, you don't really allow them to set up their defaults, gain any sort of map control uncontested. It's paying out in a big way here. They have given up Ivy control, though, but the entirety of the North team is here. Valda finds Exist, comes right back with it to find Draken and Cajun. As Draken fights Cajun. Sorry.
He's going to pick up one. Draken is on 16 health, so I mean, this is in the realms of possibility, man, and he does have 45 seconds. The bomb behind him, so he's not out in a horrible position where the CTs have control. So this round really is in his hands now. Sure, if NiP play correctly, the round should be theirs, but they're actually splitting up, so this could effectively come down to 2 1v1s. Problem here, though, for Config is A side is such a nightmare with so many potential possibilities and threats, and he's been spotted. So they know it's going to be A. This is going to allow both players now to move in position. Rez goes back into connector. 17 seconds. Config has got half a mind as to planting right here, right now. Molly and Flash going to be utilized. A flashbang is going to land in the eyes of Rez. It stops the initial charge, but as soon as the bomb plants down, Draken will finish off the rest. Nice try by Config, but his back was really against the wall.
Yeah, and again, Draken plays that really nicely as soon as he, well, fluffs the shot behind the 7 train there. Just immediate rotation over towards Popdog. Realizes what kind of options that exist for Config, really, in terms of where he can plant with the time remaining. So, just very well done altogether, and Draken, those 2 first frags going aggressive. I think perhaps AZ was the second guy coming in from North there. Didn't really expect Draken to maintain that aggressive position. It's one of the things that I think Draken is much better at than in normal scenarios. Like, positioning when he's playing aggressive is something he's really, really good at. Finding those odd angles where you still can be extremely effective and hit pretty crazy shots. It's more, you know, when he plays passively and has to position himself in, I guess, your more standardized positions or that kind of thing, where he just seems a bit out of it. And it doesn't seem to be really, like, at his peak in that kind of a scenario. So really cool to see him when they're actually able to utilize him in such a way.
Just hopefully doesn't fall into the trap of doing it too many times. It can get predictable, can get telegraphed, so don't expect to see him play too many times on the ramp. Instead, he's going to be positioning just outside of the green train, and it's all gone the way of NiP. Only 1 kill for Valda, but it's going to be the shutdown in effect. MSL and the Dying Embers will take 1 down with him. NiP on fire. So if you didn't know, that's 5 rounds in a row here at BLAST Pro Series to get the on fire mark. And as you can see there at the top of your screen, NiP blazing away.
I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw a bit of smoke coming off the jersey of Draken as well. 11, 1, and 2 so far for the young offer on the NiP's side. Definitely starting to give ebbs and vibes of you know, having that kind of a game where it just doesn't matter what North do, he'll be there to shut them down. Easy tries his luck down Popdog, but gets rudely awakened by Forest, stopping any sort of dream of finding a weapon. Block's going to join in. Oh, there we go, Config. Cheeky little double drop there. So obviously, with how the mechanics works in CSGO, Config being on top of his teammate's head the entire time, the game doesn't register that he's mid-air. It just thinks that Config's constantly on solid ground, which is why the bullet goes straight. I've seen more and more teams do it, which is really cool. And makes obviously Popdog a lot harder to deal with as a CT. I
imagine Forrest a little bit triggered right now.
Oh yeah, no, just because the visual is still the same for you. So
exactly.
and that's what kills it.
It definitely does put people on Tilt Street, but hey, Forrest can still be happy in the fact his team are 4-3 to the good in this round, and the 3 players of North don't have too much of an arsenal to play with, making absolutely nothing. As Get Right is going to put NiP a little bit hotter and heavier for North to contend with. They will have a buy in this next round, could include an AWP if they so choose. Would be surprised on Train if they didn't. But that's NiP on 8 and 1. This has been all too easy for the Swedes.
All too easy, and also very rapid as well. Quick rounds coming in from North for the better part of it. Not a lot of lurking about, setting up for slow defaults and that kind of thing. Obviously, with limited buys comes limited options in terms of just playing a pick game. Maybe we'll see a bit of a change of pace in terms of slowing it down for North now, as we do have that AWP on Cajun once more.
I mean, the AWP is just such a massive linchpin weapon on Train on both sides, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
If you'd seen like a full AK purchase here, I'd have expected to see a full-on rush. For me, that would be sort of the indication, but it's tried and tested. Every team pretty much picks one up.
Oh, and it's 100% the case. Obviously, you see different approaches as to how they use the AWPs. Some just kind of post them up inside of T-main and hope that people are going to get greedy on the CT side and actually peek into it. Things like that. Then you have the more active AWPers who actually try to search for that opening frag, but still, I think that the common theme for all of them is that they play a vital part in on both CT sides and T sides.
There's just so many open areas, and you can see that Ivy, currently Forest, can see main long and ranges, also Popdog. Just so many long ranges to play with. But AZ is going to claim the first with the AK here as the AWP being put into place by Cajun. This is one of the better chances that North have had. But Get Right is going to answer back. He gets sideswiped by Config. Surely this is where North can connect the dots and get their second round. This would be a heartbreak if they weren't able to convert from this point. And Exist and Rez with the weight of the world on their shoulders, going to get a trade, but it's all done. North have stopped the on-fire streak. They've doused the flames for now, have been extinguished.
Yep. Obviously, that puts North in a bit of a different kind of danger. Obviously, it's the reset we talk about so often. They do manage to stay alive with 3 members, which is, you know, just over that golden line in terms of being able to build and maintain economy, especially on the T side. So it should be all right even still. But obviously, North are just in need of rounds.
Well, you can see NiP have gone in and said, okay, you got an up, we'll raise that by an extra 1. So Draken and Rez both wielding it. Rez has connected, but it wings AZ more than anything else. But Get Right will finish him off. Decent trade, though, for North. MSL goes right back onto Forest. So this does open up a couple of areas for business. Forest typically has been playing, of course, on the outside of A.
What you see now from NiP is it's not that uncommon. Something they've been doing more and more with Rez and that lineup, because normally you'd see Forest being the secondary operator. That's not the case here with Train being the map. Rez is very confident with his op usage on that inner bomb side. We saw it in their opening game versus phase as well on Train. He's having a lot of success with it. And that's why they can actually kind of cheat a little bit with the rotation, playing 3 people towards that outer bomb site. Just having Rez is a bit of a turret on inner. And, well, I guess luckily for NiP, you could say, seems like the Danes want to venture towards that yard area. You get the bomb in the hands of Valda, moving up towards Ivy. We only have 2 players on the Danish side actually setting up for probably what's about to be a bit of a fake MSL and config with a lot of utility that's going to get wasted towards the indoors, but Get Right on the move, on the backstab, always aware of his surroundings.
That's a good job by Get Right, and Draken now claims the kill onto Valda. All on Cajun B. 15 seconds. They left this so late. I was going to say before that they started to make a move towards Ivy with about 30 seconds, and they said, oh, hold on a second, guys. We don't have enough time. We simply have got to go right in now for Team Main instead. And Get Right, ever the lurker, ever present. Just the 2 kills pretty much rounded off this.
Well, we talked about how, you know, the tempo had been pretty high from North. This was just a complete opposite to the point where they almost had, you know, cement to their feet, because they really hadn't set up for their proper inner take. So you can see, you know, as config gets taken out, you can see the lines coming out from the grenades that they threw. It's pretty much when they're setting up for that fake. Not a whole lot of time really to work with as they rotate, or would have rotated in with their teammates towards that yard area. They would have had, at most, 14 seconds maybe?
Yeah.
To actually do anything with, and at that point you have to clear out a lot of wonky corners and positions that CTs can't hide in. Obviously never got that far though, but
there were still 3 CTs left, you know, so
yeah.
you're basically rolling the dice at that point and just hoping for dear life that no one's there.
Play.
Yeah, just please don't be on outside. Of course they're going to be outside. They just didn't leave themselves enough chance to do anything, and now it pretty much is Glocks and a couple P250s, and it should be a case of mopping this up. But Forrest has gone down, and characteristically recently he's been on incredible form, gives away a free assault rifle, and Valda's going to use it against the CTs now. The M4A1S is doing work. Line up for Draken, but he's actually missed that shot. Doesn't claim the kill to Get Right with the spray. On point, Draken's missed another one. Hasn't claimed his life just yet, but I've got to say that those are shots he should be landing from his perspective. Get Right finally comes in, closes the gate on the face of North, who will not claim this round. But considering they had 2 P250s and 3 Glocks, they took 3 weapons off NiP.
Yeah,
it's pretty solid work by North.
Well, you take what you can get, and that's definitely a pretty decent get for the Danes. I'm just really surprised. Normally, you don't see Forrest being the kind of guy who gets greedy for eco frags, but right there, that's just greed being not so good. To being the end of him as well, and as you said, Valda just making full use of that M4 that he picks up as well, finding 2 extra kills with it.
Yeah, just really overcommitting by Forrest, and again, he's been one of the guys that has really turned a corner, you know. When it comes to his form, he's been pretty solid for NiP.
Yeah, it's definitely true.
But hey, I mean, at the end of the day, they're still 10-2 up, and North still lost that round. AZ's down to 1 health, MSL taking some damage from below. Gonna shoot his toes off.
Obviously going to have to be very careful here. Not as much utility. They do have a fair bit of smokes, but not necessarily Molotovs to clear out angles here. So seemingly have them moving towards that yard area. Config finding Draken actually in Ivy.
That's also the AWP down. They may be able to claim that in the hands of Get Right. Not necessarily known for how sick of an AWPer he can be in CSGO, but we know that he can definitely pull off magic with that weapon when need be.
It's definitely possible. And NiP, obviously losing some of the extremities, decide to shore up their defense really towards teammate. And I kind of like this approach from them as well. I think Get Right is a tiny bit exposed. Oh, actually, no. It's made it full rotation. They've just gambled completely on this A-bomb side. Nobody left on the inner bomb.
Get Right has claimed 1 kill already. You can see the blood spatter on the wall from his previous victim. And AZ, who started the round off with 1 HP, has not been finished off just yet. To make matters worse for Get Right, now he's between a lot of terrorists. 12 seconds again, though. Time is so scarce, and Conflict's having to go all in. They won't expect 2 players to be there, and they don't have enough time to get back to the bomb. This is going to be incredibly close. They've missed out on it. They have to go for the kill. And Exist is in Team A. North, not for the first time, have let time itself beat them.
And just to rub it in, salt in the wounds, Exist finds Configs as well after the time runs out. So Config sitting at a not so nice 600 bucks. Going into the second to the last round of the first half. But that's just unnecessarily slow. As you can see, like at the point where MSL goes down, there's 31 seconds left. There's really no, like they've already made it very clear that they're going towards that yard area. You can't allow yourself to use that much time, even if there wasn't a full-on sack from NiP. That kind of a thing would have allowed them to actually have at least 1 rotation coming in from the outer bomb side, from the inner bomb side, and so on. And again, though, we're seeing aggression coming out from NiP here on the inner bomb site. A little bit surprising considering they're up against wonky buy. They could have just used the firepower that they have to their advantage, but instead it's going to be Valda to find Exist. So that opens up some space in yard.
Draken's already gone down as well, so that space should be there. Get Right from behind onto Cajun B. Labored spray, but got there in the end. Doesn't matter how you cross the finish line as long as you get that. I know MSL, all that remains. Not for too much longer. Rez puts the AWP round through his head. 12-2. I mean, Train, I definitely feel like it does edge towards the CT side. It's definitely not this CT side.
No, right now it's just like, it feels more NiP sided in this game.
Yeah.
Anything
Definitely.
else.
In every single way, shape, and form, NiP have been the better team.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have like a 12-2 scoreline, and maybe 4 or 5 of those rounds went down to the wire 1v1s, like super close. Now this has been pretty brutal.
Yeah, exactly. This has been, and especially when you're in a situation where you're in just beginning of rounds, and then you fluff up rounds where you have a disadvantage, you lose out to time. Basically, you defeat yourself in many ways, as North have done almost 2 times here. Like that's not a good sign, and we saw a similar kind of ordeal with G2 as well. They were just not really having a lot of things going their way. Not really the time to start faltering and not being able to deliver. North obviously having gotten off to a great start to the tournament as well. They want to keep this up. They want to secure a spot in that finals. And right now they have to mount a momentous comeback.
Has to start here then, and it's with 3 UMPs and 2 CZs. So they have no range. None of these weapons can pluck out the likes of the dual AWP setup that NiP Gaming have. And here we go. Rez going to be tossing in the incendiary. Gets extinguished, a sound that you hate to hear.
That was the most
I don't even know why.
Molotov I've seen in a long time.
There is smoke there. I will try my... Oh, it's extinguished.
Yeah.
Sound.
So I'm going to throw it halfway across the world. I'm sure it's going to be long enough. Not going to matter all that much in the long time.
Yeah, I mean, NiP still have plenty of nades left to use. No incendiaries, but they got flashes, they got smokes. More importantly, they have by far the weapon advantage coming through into this. In terms of the firepower, you can see at the top of your screen, they only have half of NiP's firepower. And to make matters worse, MSL is peaked too early. The smoke had not fully plumed, and he's going to get punished with his life. AZ on the prowl, up close and personal with the CZ, exactly where you want to be using it. Bomb's gone planted as well. Forest and Draken, though, hold on. And our 2 UMPs up against it. Valda's going to switch across to the M4, but in the meanwhile, his tag team partner of Cajun has died, and a smoke on top of the defuse will get NiP their 13th round. 13-2. And just to make matters worse for North, NiP on fire again.
That is definitely not the way you want to end the half. So worst case scenario, pretty much struck twice for North there, getting reset, never really being able to get into the groove of things. NiP catching fire twice in one half. That's how you know you're onto a good one. And Gerard, you know, kind of just silently been creeping up the scoreboards here. We're talking about Draken early on, and obviously Forrest doing work as well, but Gerard sitting nice and pretty at 16 frags for himself. Everybody delivering on the side of the Swedes.
Yeah, he's played really well, and impressively, he keeps pushing around the lurks on the CT side, and he kept catching North in transition. So very intelligent plays, but of course now he's going to be able to do that a little bit less on the T side.
As the firing squad from NiP here. Oh, they just moved away from it.
The thing is,
does Walden know though?
He has a CZ though, so if this gets hot and heavy, he also has backup. Of course, they know there's no stilts in the game, so there's going to be 2 players there, and Config turns his back on the T's. Never give up your back. Cajun B in the meanwhile from range. Forrest will trade him out 2-on-2. Bomb will get planted. North, simply put, if they lose this round, a huge part of their chances of coming back goes with it.
No diffuse kit for this kind of situation either. Do have the benefit of coming from behind here with MSL and actually trying to split the attention of NiP, but Smoke delaying MSL for now.
Forrest goes in on AZ, but here's MSL with one looking to tap at range. It's so incredibly rough. And neither Forrest or MSL go down, but now MSL is just going to try and tickle the bomb and draw out Forrest into the open. Surely there's not enough time to defuse this. Forrest is playing this one exquisitely. And down goes MSL. 14-2 to the Ninjas. The beginning of the end surely looming on the horizon now for North.
I mean, it's going to take... At this point, it's not as much up to North to make it happen. I think it's more down to NiP to let it happen.
True.
If anything. And they just seem to be way too good right now for the Danes to handle. Forrest as well, just doing Forrest things. He's been doing this for, 15 years it feels like.
Just a little while.
Yeah, he's been around the block.
Just a few times.
Well,
yeah, so well played though, just using his head.
Definitely true. And ZZ's galore coming out. Scout as well on Cajun. So NiP have to be worried about what kind of tempo they approach this with. Getting tagged down gradually by a Scout, it can be very detrimental with how good the ZZ is.
Velda, nice try. Did do a lot of damage before he fell. You can see them both get right and exist. They're feeling the wear of war. AZ from range is not going to get the upper hand on Therese. He picks up 2. Cajun B now with the Scout has gone in for 1, but no more. Tracking close range with UMP, shreds through him and exists. Finishes things off with the Galil. 13 map points. Not something you say too often.
It's one of the rarities, especially when you get this level of play as well. Normally these teams are able to beat each other on any given day, almost regardless of map. And this has definitely been just utter domination from the Ninjas.
And everyone really pulling their weight as well then. I mean, everyone well over 10 frags. It's not as if one player has carried the rest. This is a team effort for NiP.
Definitely. I mean, a lot of the time it comes down to the fact that, well, some just haven't had the opportunity to see as many North players as the other. Well, this spots out a lot of potential action here. Not going to win at the battle versus Rest, even though Cajun is there for the trade. Still, everything going NiP's way. Forward positioning here on the inner bomb side. Bomb's going to go down. Got their backs covered as well, so not really too worried about a backstab either. Things are looking prime for the Swedes.
Well, Cajun or Config, North need a hero. They need a miracle. 122 health collectively, facing off against 4 angry terrorists. Config's gone in for a deke. We've seen Danes pull off rounds like this before, but not today. Exist will ease the suffering of North. 16-2 in the end, Van. That is going to be one of the most one-sided games of CS that you will witness.
Yeah, no, there's not a whole lot you can take of.